Welcome back to another one of the nameless podcast, because I still haven't thought of anything good. If you enjoyed the first one with me and Glenn, thank you very much for coming back. And please do welcome one of my very, very best friends from music and touring that I've gotten to know, and I'm very lucky to get to know. Sam Christmas from Best of Enemies.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. This was really fun with Glenn. So you are one of the more fun individuals that I have the pleasure of knowing. So it's
He
nice
set
to...
the bar high, didn't he, Glenn?
He's a sweetheart, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's a good lad.
I'm not as nice as him, so hopefully...
That's a lie and you know it. Behind all your bravado lies a soft nougaty centre.
Oh, yeah. I had no clue what nougat was for ages.
Yep.
Until an episode of Stranger Things, and they said nougat like 4 times in one episode, and I was like, I really need to find out what this is. It's just essential information that we all need to know, isn't it?
I mean, I know what it is in terms of a chocolate bar, but I still have no idea in terms of what it actually is.
And how do they make it? I don't know. Well,
if you know,
we'll never know.
In the comments, we'll all learn something. We could look it up, but I can't be bothered.
Maybe we'll go to a nougat factory once this is all done.
Speaking of looking things up, we were talking just before we press record about when we first met. And we both know it was through music. And my suspicion is that it has to be the first Bedlam tour that we did together.
Maybe. I was thinking...
Yeah?
Was it at Surya with Amaryllis?
God, I think you're right. I think that was before a Bedlam tour, wasn't it? We hadn't yet done a Bedlam tour.
No.
So yeah, that would be the first one.
I think that was the first show at Surya, which is now
Gone.
A ping pong bar or something, I'm led to believe, but probably closed.
Yeah. Like everything else.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That place was fun. But I think I played there more times than any other venue. Maybe the Fighting Cocks in Kingston is on level, but
yeah,
Surya was like everyone played there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the cheapest London venue is essentially the way to put it. There was like a badass sound dude. He was awesome, called Simba.
Simba, yeah.
Simba was a dude.
Great guy.
And I met another Huh?
I hope he's well wherever he is.
Same. And there was another Belgian guy there once called Yannick, which was just a glorious name as well.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember we walked up to the venue together and you were drinking a Zuba.
Zubra?
Yeah, it had a lion on the front.
No, a bison.
This guy. A what?
A bison. It's a Polish beer called Zubra. Zubra being the Polish for bison. And do you know the Polish vodka? It comes in a green bottle called Zubrówka.
No.
Ah, there you go. So
surprisingly, I should know it, but
if it's an alcohol,
I'll add it on the list with nougat.
I was gonna say, like, this might be unfair, but when it's an alcohol related thing, I just expect you to know.
I don't know everything. I drink it. You know.
I don't ask. I just consume.
Yeah, I'm a consumer.
By the way, congratulations on your new house. This is the first time I've seen it and you in it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Very
just
good.
In the one room. It's just the one room we have everything. I've got a sink that folds down from the wall and a bath in the same room. Nah, just kidding. It's it's not a bad place.
Well, this is basically nobody else will know who sees this. Sam was fortunate enough to get a new house just before lockdown, so he's been
timing.
Yeah, very much. So he's been enjoying his quarantine whilst getting into a new home. I'm sure Nick has gotten you putting up shelves and doing manly things.
All I've done is put up shelves. We moved in November, and the place is just filled with shelves. This is the only shelf-free room, I think. But that's all set to change shortly. So we bought some shelves, so they'll be going up. Who knows when? Yeah.
So look, man. I had some. We've bored the hell out of everybody for I don't know how long. I had some questions I was going to ask you, and this is much the same as with Glenn that I know you saw. Some questions are things that I know the answer to, and I thought other people might be interested. Some I don't know the answer to, and some are just going to occur on the fly or came from other
Wicked.
people online. So we're going to find out.
Some I might not know, but I'll probably just make something up. So
Fair, fair. Uh,
all
so,
good.
so I was going over some of your old stuff just now on the YouTube,
Oh yeah.
and I was looking at your music videos.
Oh no.
Yeah, that youthful face
Yeah.
before the stress had hit you and a life of working for the corporate machine.
I am a slave to the corporate machine.
But
All
I was
through.
looking at it, it got me thinking sort of, I love Sorry State particularly. It's like one of my favorite videos that you did. And it's a very simple concept as videos go.
Yeah.
But it's unusually effective as a video. And so is your other one that comes to mind is Matters really early video. It's gone out of my head. What's the title? In the Park.
Oh, all of my mistakes.
All of our mistakes, not matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's again super simple but highly effective. And I was sort of wondering, in the process of those things, how involved you were in making decisions about videos, and how they came together as part of within Best of Enemies.
Mm. Well, as you say, they were simple, but we were simple people. I think we were always on a budget. It was the main thing, as many bands are. The money doesn't come easy, does it?
It does not.
And so that all of my mistakes, it was in a park in Wallington. I think the rest of the boys shot all their stuff before me because I was working in the perfume shop at the time. So after a hard day's graft of selling people horrible smells, I rushed down to this park and had to do all my bits on my own, which was fun.
I can at this point now, watching that video will never be the same. I'll feel I can smell you through the screen.
Yeah. And it was just a simple. I mean, every band does like a walking video, don't they? Like near enough every band.
It is a rite of passage.
Yeah, like let's plan out a storyboard. You get all these great ideas, and you go, why don't we just walk? And then, then it ends up being a whole video.
I weirdly had not done that until I was in Berlin, and we shot the video going down the middle of, I can't remember the road, but it ends at the Brandenburg Gate, and there was nobody else walking on it, and cars would randomly pull across the central reservation where we were walking. It was fucking scary.
I think we were all scared for you at that point.
Thanks.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And the other video, Sorry State, was shot in a flat that I lived in.
Yeah.
For probably 9 months, I think.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I spend all this money on rent. Why don't we just shoot a video here or something? And below us was a lovely little cafe where people brought like their kids and stuff, and they'd have what they call in the industry a baby chino, which is just hot milk and whatever. And we knew this. And who drummed for us at the time? Simon.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we thought it'd be a great idea to just set up a drum kit, like on an early Saturday morning, and just start whacking at drums. Like, I said we were simple people, but wow, just no smarts.
Yeah. Well, to be honest,
good memories.
Yeah. Well, that does bring me on quite neatly too. I was thinking a lot about touring, and speaking of no smarts and the things you learn and might not do the same way again. I have toured with you in 3 different bands now.
Yeah.
I've toured with you in Best of Enemies. Then you've toured as a touring member of City of Ashes. And then you've also toured with my current band, Here Lies.
Yeah.
And there are some stories. And do any particular ones stick out to you, or were learning curves for you that you mightn't?
Where do I start?
Yeah, I know.
Where
it's
do I start? You know. Well, obviously, working backwards through time, I think, because I've made all my mistakes recently. Cheeky best of enemies pun there. Unintentional. Working back recently was obviously, I don't know if you guys have toured since, but last April.
We did a few dates towards the end of last year, and then we were going to be touring this April before before 2020 happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was my last tour with you guys.
Yeah.
And so the first date, it was the first date, Swansea, where my younger brother Owen lives. So I thought, oh, wow, this is great. We can catch up. He can come to the gig, see some music and that, and we can have a good, sensible catch up after.
I should say at this point, for anybody who's listening, we had gone on, we played our set. It was the first night, so, it's every first night of a tour is always like getting back into the groove and adjustments, and then we were packing up some of the breakables and stuff after the set. We turned around and went, "Where is Sam?" And nobody saw you again for 2 hours, something like that, until long after the show.
Yeah.
At which point, I shall let you take over.
And shows finish quite late sometimes, don't they? Like 10:30. By the time you're done packing up, maybe 11:30.
And we were staying in Bristol.
Yeah. So yeah, me and my brother went to have a little bit of a catch up. We went to a lovely, charming little place called Walkabout, where he informed me they do £1 pints here. I went, oh wow, that's brilliant, because I'm on a shoestring budget, and I like drinking and that, so on the occasion. And yeah, in terms of making mistakes, wow, always let your tour crew know where you're going, I suppose, is a big one.
Yes, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'll get back to some other advice later, but to continue with the story, I drank a few of those £1 pints, and if it's £1, probably don't drink it. Is a big.
All I can say is you
advice.
were, things were exciting for you by the time you got back. You're in a bit of an emotional one, and that's, we've all been there. And you were fine for most of the drive before we got near Bristol, at which point you projectile vomited over the inside of the van and half the street. And then we had to keep you outside because you were being ill round a corner whilst I went in and tried to charm this Russian fella working the travel lodge with like all my stories, and him I shared of like visiting St. Petersburg and using my little bits of Russian I could, and he was loving life. It was great for him, which is really good because we had to come out and hand you and Connor a key card for a room, sneak you in whilst I distracted him, at which point you got up to the floor, went into the room, and walked in on two people having sex.
I have no recollection of this, but
so you walked horrific. You walked in. This is as it were. The room was dark, and you froze with Connor, and one of you said, "I think there's someone in here," at which point a woman's voice called back, "I think you have the wrong room."
Oh God. It's not entirely our fault, is it?
I mean, not entirely, but significantly.
I mean, Travelodge must have given us the wrong key or something. Or maybe it's all just a big sort of lie and all the doors are opened by one key.
It could happen. I can't say I've ever tried it.
Me neither. Yeah, that was an experience. I think there's a video on one of my Instagram highlights of me washing the sick off of lovely Dan's van.
Yeah, there is.
Lovely Dan. I'm sorry, Dan.
God bless him.
he looked after me so much that tour.
He was a sweetheart. I'd tour with that guy anytime. He was great.
Yeah, he drove me like the whole way back to my house from wherever the last show was, and I was just like lying down in the back of the van, like just completely conked out. Yeah.
This was a 4-day little run over Easter weekend, and you were the next day after, the next day we're in Tunbridge Wells.
Yeah,
and you played the show on your knees with your head in a garbage bag, vomiting the entire time.
Yeah.
Then we got back in the van and travelled to Liverpool, where again you were not well. And then even the day after, the Sunday, we were down in Brighton and you were still being sick outside the venue.
Yeah, it was literally, genuinely a 4-day hangover that I couldn't recover from.
That was awful.
I suppose I tried to continue just drinking through it because people always say that works, but it doesn't. And we had Connor with us on that trip as well.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten that. Yeah.
And he'd heard stories about me. I'd heard things about him. And
you guys should never play in a band together.
No, I think we thought we were going to be the ultimate booze duo, but yeah, I definitely overindulged that first night, which is probably one of my second top tips. Don't do. Because I played a whole set with my head in a bin bag, as you said, which is definitely a massive low point for me.
Yeah. Well, on that note, actually, I was thinking about this, and I remember something you said, because obviously you do love singing, as we both do, but I remember something you were saying on that tour, or one of the tours more recently, about how actually as a singer you don't really enjoy touring as a singer. Because
Horrible.
you have to take care of your voice, you have to take care of yourself, because people really notice if you go on. If on that tour or that second show I had spent the show with my head in a bin bag, it would have been much harder to direct people away from.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So what is your experience of touring as a singer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't particularly enjoy it. I never wanted to be a singer or anything.
Yeah.
I sort of got pushed into it from the other guys in the band after we had a few different bands before Best of Enemies, and they all we had a few singers, and then everyone was like, why don't you just do it? I went, fucking hell, go on then, if I have to. And I really had no clue how to use my voice or anything, and had no idea on how to properly look after myself. Still really don't, I suppose, but
I'd say there's got to be things you've learned, though. Even if it's you're learning what not to do. Obviously, you said overindulge. But are there other things you were picking up along the way?
Yeah, I mean, going back to booze, we started doing a two and play rule because somebody else in our band, who I could name, well, everyone knows is Christian. Christian loves a drink as well, and there's been, I think it was on that tour, that first Best of Enemies City of Ashes tour we done in Manchester, and he chokes me up thinking about it. He got so drunk on Buckfast that he passed out before the gig.
Yeah.
Revived a little bit, played the gig, and then passed out again.
Yep.
What was the point of me saying that?
Just things you learned.
Oh yeah, so we started incorporating this two and play rule where we'd only have 2 beers.
Yeah.
And that, that's a step in the right direction, because when you're a young band touring, you hear all the stories of all the bigger bands doing it, getting off the face on various things. Yeah. And you sort of want to replicate that when you're young and in a band, and you think you're the dog's bollocks. If you'll pardon my French. Yeah, and it's never good for you, especially if you've got to sing.
Yeah, it's that feeling of when you've got a line coming, and you
Yeah.
feel like that lagery burp coming, and you're like, oh god,
Big time.
control, gotta get to the end of the line and try and belch away from the microphone. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's always a few of those.
Yeah. I find it easier if I have to do like backing vocals, like you know, I'll be fine. But having to do like a lead singer role, there's so much like pressure on you to deliver your best, as there is in any role in a band. But
Sure.
vocals are the thing that people listen to the most.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a musician yourself, then you're going to be like listening out for them sweet little riffs or whatever.
Yeah.
But vocals are like a staple key point of any performance.
Yeah.
And in today's like day and age where everything's recorded and
yeah,
you
it's a
do
whole
like
other type of pressure.
Yeah, you do like a rubbish note and then it's somewhere on the internet, and me being like a self-centered, egotistical maniac, I've seen every video of Best of Enemies online.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a few shit notes that are still ringing in my head now.
Everybody's got them, man.
Yeah,
we know that. We know that. Like, everybody's got them. But you're right. They do stick with you in that way.
But no one's perfect, and
yeah,
there's going to be mistakes.
It's let it go afterwards, right? That's the biggest thing.
But less booze definitely is good for the vocals.
Yes, agreed. You were talking about, like, obviously you play guitar and you've played bass in bands with me, and obviously doing singing as well.
Yeah.
As a like multi-instrumentalist to some degree, yeah, I know that, obviously you're talking almost guitar style roots and stuff on a bass. You're not, a flea style.
Oh no.
That sort of. But you've never been somebody that has really defined yourself by, this is me and this is my guitar and this is my sound, that, in my experience of you. And my impression from the outside was that has given you a lot more flexibility and a lot more opportunity to for example, people don't think of you and go, that's just the singer of Best of Enemies. So we can't ask him to come play bass with us for a tour.
Yeah.
Because do you feel like that's given you more opportunities and a different perspective of things?
Definitely, yeah. It's great. I really enjoy being able to just fit into any kind of band, really. I don't want to like pigeonhole myself as like just a rock guitarist / singer. Like, I've got a fair wide, set of influences, and I'd hate for people to just go, well, just a rock singer, a rock guitarist or whatever. Yeah,
it's pretty reductionist, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've had the chance to play in loads of great bands, through meeting you and loads of people.
Yeah, and it's cool as well because it means you meet people in a different way. They don't just think of you as that, because I find like when people only think of you as one thing, you only tend to get approached by a smaller sort of group of people. Yeah. When people see you as different things, there's more things that people feel they maybe can approach you as. And certainly I found that in terms of doing film and stuff like that. So I was kind of curious if it was your experience as well.
Yeah. I mean, rock music is like my main sort of love and passion. And any rock band I'll play in.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have a few like different styles under my belt, I suppose, but when you get good at something, I suppose.
Yeah.
You get. I don't want to get stuck in like just doing one type of music, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, actually, like, again, this leads on very neatly. Because as a singer, it occurred to me, because a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh, they can't sing," and feel a sort of guilt about that. And sure, nobody was born being able to sing. It's a skill that you learn. It's a certain type of muscular control and an ear. And generally speaking, I believe that most everybody can sing. But what I noticed is literally everybody that I know of, maybe unless you are classically trained from a very young age, they start out by singing in the voice that they hear in the head of their favorite artist. So I remember learning to sing to A Funeral for a Friend and Yellow Card, and those were the voices that I heard. And I was kind of, what you learn more and more is that if you want to excel, you can excel best at being yourself. And I was wondering how you went through that process of finding your own voice.
Yeah. So I suppose, I mean, I set the standard pretty high for myself when I first started getting into music, because all my favourite bands were like, well, the first 2 CDs I bought were like a 2 for 10 from HMV, and it was Radiohead, and The Darkness.
Which is funny because anybody who hasn't heard you sing, which I realize is probably quite niche of people that will see this that haven't heard you sing. The Darkness, and you couldn't have more different ranges.
No.
Like, he will never sound like you, but you will never sound like him.
Yeah.
Although I would love to hear you try.
But so the thing is, recently, this is going to sound super pretentious, but I had a bit of a musical rebirth in a way, where I was going back through all my old CDs because I was going to sell them off and that. And I found all my old CDs and like the Radiohead CD and The Darkness and stuff. And I just whacked them on and I was thinking, could I attempt this now?
Yeah.
and less of The Darkness because they're like pretty operatic and
it's very not your particular voice, I would say.
No, definitely not. But so in terms of like Radiohead, like Tom York is just ridiculous, like an incredible singer, and I wouldn't say he's a guy who doesn't get enough credit, but
he's not generally thought of as just a singer.
No.
Radiohead just kind of have this. I feel like they're thought of in popular imagination just as this entity all of their own. It's not like you think of, I don't know, Destiny's Child and there was Beyonce. It was, except for musos who really go, oh, there's Tom York.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like they exist as this almost mythical entity within music.
Yeah, definitely. But like just from listening to him recently, I've been trying to like listen out and try and pick up some little techniques and like the kind of falsetto he goes for, that sort of thing. But in terms of like finding a voice, I just sort of just let whatever come out. I didn't really try to emulate anyone vocally. I just initially went for that British sort of just rubbish.
No, it's great because one of the things I really respect about you as a singer is your voice in your songs is always distinctively you, and that's hard to achieve. And I think it lends an honesty to your work that maybe comes through sometimes more powerfully than even it does with you in conversation. And I have a ton of respect for that.
I don't know how to take that. Cheers.
It's intended purely as a compliment.
Thank you, man.
Because that's music when it can connect with people, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think like as well from a young age, I had like a bit of a confidence issue, and like listening back to your own voice, it can be pretty horrible sometimes. But
especially starting out.
Yeah, but people are gonna hear you. They aren't gonna hear you the way that you hear you, which is a main thing that I've had to try and get in my head.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll be singing stuff like in my house, and I know the neighbours can hear me, and I think, Christ, I probably sound like a prick right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a main thing. I just sort of let whatever come out of me, and I probably sounded like an idiot at first, but you grow into it.
Yeah, it's trying to get out of your own head to some degree, isn't it? So you don't turn off the inner ears, if you see what I mean. Like, so you're just listening to the sound. You're not listening with judgment on yourself.
Yeah.
Because if
And
you
I'm
do
a
that,
big
you'll never do it.
overthinker, so it's quite a challenge.
I don't know any. I don't know many, if any, lyricists that are not.
It's so easy to be like self-critical, isn't it? And like overly critical of yourself.
And there's a time for that, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're writing and rewriting and rewriting the same line, the same verse 48 times, trying to get that thing that really articulates what you mean, that is a good time to be judgmental and, you know, critical of the work. But then when it comes to the performance, is trying to, I feel at least, cut it there and let the performance be itself without judgment.
Yeah. Completely agree.
So let me look here. Yeah, I was looking at some of your releases, the B of E releases, and
no.
I was looking, I was looking. There is definitely alteration and change as you've gone through them, and like all of us, I'm guessing that you have learned things you don't want to do again.
Oh, big time.
And I was wondering what that sort of experience was like for you. How you come to writing? Like, what do you come to it and just go, okay, so here are some chords and I got to fit something to them? Do you come to a song with an intention and try and fit music to that message, or what your process was?
Yeah. So just going through like that evolution of sound in a way. The stuff I definitely never want to do again. On the first Best of Enemies EP, there's a song called "You're a Good Mate, Really," and it's like, it's not pop punk, but like there's pop punk elements in it, and like we used to do a little synchronized jump, changing directions. You had to be there. I suppose it's kind of hard to describe over this, and it's yeah, oh, Christ, I don't think I'll ever do that ever again in my entire life. Apart from maybe at the last Best of Enemies gig, if it happens.
Yes, when it happens.
Yeah.
It'll happen, dude.
I know it will. Hopefully.
At this rate, we'll be able to come play and do a support for you guys or something if you want.
That'd be amazing.
That would be fun.
Yeah. But that first EP, we were really, such a cliche to say, but like trying to find our feet, and we tried like a little bit of everything within our interests, but pop punk is definitely a route I will not pursue, to say the least.
Which is funny because you've been out, I know, guesting as well with Maypine.
Yeah.
Who have strong pop punk lines.
I don't know. The first EP did, I'd say.
Hugely, yes.
Yeah. But that Bend Break EP that came out after.
Yeah. I love the Bend Break.
On.
Yeah, and Roosevelt, I think, is an amazing song.
Great tunes.
God, I love Roosevelt. It's one of my absolute favorites. Speaking of which, I was listening to their record, and I was listening to yours today on Fair Play.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You have one song on there, but it is getting you have one song, but it is getting plays.
Amazing.
It's if anybody happens to see this, it is basically like an unplugged style version of a song called Ever Change.
Oh yeah.
And it is most good. So if you happen to be on Fair Play, please go look at it.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to turn the tables, but
go ahead.
Fair Play is a new venture for you.
Fair Play is a new venture. It's
do you want a little
if anybody is listening to this and doesn't know or is interested, Fair Play was a project that we set up whereby essentially most people probably know this. I know, Sam, you'll know, because we have both been on the receiving end of the total lack of receiving anything from streaming services, and there's almost been like a devaluation of people's music and their sort of creative efforts. And so the point of Fair Play is when you go on and you listen to a song, 100% of the money that you pay to listen goes to the artist every single time. So it was a project we started to try and, yes, we all understand nobody's going to have, like you said about CDs, nobody's going to be walking around with Discmans of old and stacks of CDs. It's not going to happen. It's going to be streaming. But if it's going to be that, can it be a way that respects the work and also that allows people who like the work to have the option to support it better. So that was the thinking there. But anyway, you have a song on it. It's cool.
It's a great platform, and I highly recommend everyone goes and checks it out. When I get round to putting some solo music out, I'll definitely give you a shout.
Yeah, do it, man.
So, yeah.
Be fun.
Yeah.
By the way, speak to me about that when you do, because I got some other stuff I need you for.
What was the original question before I so rudely diverted?
You did not rudely divert. You did it with charm and style. So it was just about how your approach has changed as much as anything.
Yeah. I mean, with everything that's going on now, musicians can't get into like a practice room and, hash out a song.
No.
Which is a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
But in today's day and age, everyone's got, a Mac with Logic.
Screw you, I don't.
Yeah. Well, and there's loads of, great free platforms out there as well.
Yeah.
But recently, obviously, it's just all been digital and on Logic and that sort of thing. With Best of Enemies, obviously, we're not continuing at the moment, I think. So I don't know. There's no point in us writing anything. So it's not like we're getting together in a room and writing anything anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, my approach now is it's all just on a laptop, and I want to try and collaborate as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll put together like a basic idea, whatever I'm feeling at the time. Like the other week, I wrote like a summer hip hop kind of song.
Yes, you did.
Just for a laugh. Why not? Yeah. And I thought my friend Joe, who goes under the name Rabid Welk, would be great on this. So I just sent him it, and he's slapped a really nice verse on it.
And I have heard this, and I think I said to you, this is great. It sounds like if Carlos Santana met a British Will Smith.
Yeah. Which, spot on, actually. I'd probably put that as my bio when it's ready to go out.
I'll be disappointed if it doesn't end up being that now.
Yeah. But collaboration is key, I think. Even if you're doing like a solo project and you want to do everything yourself,
yeah,
I think it's always important to like reach out to other artists that you respect and like on our kind of same level. And just ask for their input. It doesn't have to be like a feature or anything, but you can ask for someone's advice and go, what do you reckon of this? Could I do any better? Could I change this?
I think it keeps things fresh as well. It stops it becoming, we're all in danger when we work with the same people of producing what essentially is versions of the same stuff over and over again. Working with different people is, I feel like, what breaks you out of that and makes you have to do things differently or think about things differently. As long as, like you say, you respect them and you want their input. Because if you don't, it's just going to end up being you in an echo chamber anyway, and that's kind of like...
Definitely. But collaboration, big thing.
Huge
Jump
thing.
on it.
What I was going to say, you mentioned like the moment, the sort of current moment, and it would be negligent to not reference everything that's going on at the moment because it's kind of the elephant in every room. And there's been a lot of talk about what is music's role, what is art's role within not just the lockdown world to do with sort of mental health, but in the last sort of week and a half, the sort of exploding civil rights push. And I know this is like a challenging question. I don't mean to like, I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm not trying to like put you on the spot, but it's there's different things. There's elements where it's really important to engage. There's elements where it's important to have people be able to take a breath outside of some of that stuff, where an element of escapism is important so people can take a breath. Or there's also things to celebrate, successes to celebrate. I was wondering what your feelings of those things were and where you feel like music fits into this sort of unique moment, at least in our lifetimes.
I mean, like you said, it's a form of escapism, isn't it? And it's the biggest one for me, for sure. With everything going on, I've just wanted to sort of shut off from everything and just
It's a lot to take in, for sure.
it really is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I deleted all my social apps the other day,
Mm-hmm.
not trying to ignore everything, you know. Like I know what's happening, but you need that sort of escapism.
It's something you got to measure, right? It's
Yeah.
the 24-hour news cycle that we live in is
Mm.
really difficult for a lot of people, and it's how do you stay engaged, because that's really important, but also walk that line with taking care of yourself and your family and those around you.
Yeah. Completely agree. It's a big question.
I know it's big, and I like, but it's so ever present at the moment that I feel like it would be really negligent for us not to
Yeah.
acknowledge that it's there.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, what I'd sort of say on it from my point is I don't really know what's my place to say and what isn't, you know. And I've seen a lot of people when I was on socials and stuff, I see a lot of people talking out, and there's one guy I went to college with put out like a spoken word thing. And I just don't really know where I sort of fit in that. I'd happily stay out of it, but just, you know, look at the official sort of how can I help, that sort of thing. Where can I donate that would really make any sort of benefit, and what can I actually do that will help instead of,
like,
you know,
good information is so important, right? Like, find and it can be harder at the moment to sift the good information from the sea of well-intentioned but perhaps misinformed or you know, to some degree misguided information that's out there.
And you know, social media is like an echo chamber, isn't it? And
it can be, for sure. Yeah.
Do you know what good would me saying anything on it, you know, do really?
No, I wasn't that. Sorry, I didn't mean to insinuate that you necessarily should be or shouldn't be saying something.
Oh no.
That's such a personal decision for everybody. And but as far as where music comes in, and I suppose if I was to say, if you were to go now and to start working on a piece, would you feel that the current moment that we're living in deserved your commentary or your reflection, or that almost you would find that you steered away from it? And in either case, why would you lean towards that?
I mean, there's definitely going to be like a lot of art and music coming out of, you know, this whole scenario and lockdown and everything like that. People have been doing quarantine songs, so
yes, of course they were going to.
Yeah. In terms of music, I just don't really feel like it's my place, but it'd be hard. It'd be hard not to have like a bit of an influence of what's going on in like music as well. Like, you know, not just like lyrically. Yeah. But I'd say it'd probably have like an effect on how, like, what I'm writing musically.
I think you've
hard to ignore.
Yeah, you have a particular style that you do really well, which is almost universally introspective in a lot of your work, and I think that's a real hallmark when I look at a lot of your work. And it's one of the things that, whilst you speak about the framework, the context of the world you're in, you're able to focus it really well onto a very human interpretation of that. And I think that that's a real strength in your work, and I think it's something that a lot of people can relate to. Whether that's going to work for the corporate machine or difficulties in your personal life or whatever it is, I think that's a really valuable thing in your work, and it's something I hugely respect, because it's hard to do that with honesty.
Yeah, definitely. No. Cheers,
man. Lightening the mood a little bit, I wanted to check in with you and say, so if we had to say, you've got your studio, you've got your live, you got your writing, you've got the tour life, what is your favorite aspect of being involved in music, basically?
Oh, oh God. See, it's all brilliant, all of it. It's all great. Um, I mean, obviously, writing it's like a controlled experience, isn't it? And you get those eureka moments where something really like falls into place, and it's so satisfying.
Mm.
But then you also have really long periods of like everything I'm writing is rubbish.
Yes.
This sucks.
Yes.
What am I trying to do here?
That's the biggest thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you don't know what it is you want to say, trying to find something of value to put down.
Yeah, that's it. And from like a technology standpoint, luckily my Mac is so dated that I think I can only fit one project on it at a time. So that's really given me like an opportunity to actually finish something before I move on to the next thing, which is great.
Yep.
But my favorite part, I'd still probably say it's like the live aspect and touring, regardless of, the 4-day hangovers sometimes. But just being able to actually go out, showcase something that you and like a few people have put together and have people come along and appreciate it is, it's great.
I totally agree with you. I totally
probably
agree.
my favorite thing. And you meet people like in person and they'll come up to you and so, like sometimes you get like really nice things, like somebody will say how a particular song or something has helped them, which is like such a heartwarming kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not even just from an ego standpoint, like it's like so nice to hear. And I suppose you should always write music for yourself, but like sometimes when you do something and you get like no response on it, it can feel like, why am I doing this? But then you go out there, you play the shows, people come sometimes. And and then you have those interactions that like really like stick with you for your whole musical journey.
I'd say I'd say your whole life. We're incredibly fortunate to get to share those experiences and get to be at the front of the room when something incredibly powerful happens. And I'm not sure those things ever go away. But on that very note, what is the sort of thing when you look at your work and your history and your catalog that you're most proud of?
I think even though it wasn't like massively successful, like we're not in the charts and everything, seeing that like for a time we built like a small community of people together and like really brought like a group of people together who all had like a common interest and you'll know this with like the Sometimes project and things like that. People are like brought together from your music and then they stay friends for literally forever probably, and people feel like they can share their their hardships and whatnot, and it's really really good to see.
Yeah. Well,
so that that small community that we built in our time was we still see people on like Twitter and Instagram that are still like friends now, and just knowing that you were sort of instrumental in that is quite satisfying to see.
I agree, and that's exactly when I said I need to talk to you about something. Just between me, you, and the 4 people who will see this.
Oh, yeah.
It's slightly different, but what then, when you look at, we all entered music wanting to achieve something, wanting to do this, do that our favorite people had done, or whatever. What have you got on your list now left to achieve?
I mean, it's tough now because the band's coming to an end. But we got like quite a lot of stuff on my list we did in Best of Enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff that I thought would like never happen. It would be like impossible, but it's really not.
So like what?
So we've been played on Kerrang quite a number of times. Alex Baker, big shout out to him, great guy. he invited us to like, it wasn't Slam Dunk, what was it? It was like a UK Warped Tour pre-festival
Sure.
event thing, and that was really nice to know that like a DJ like him who's so instrumental in starting up new bands' careers. Like he's been doing it for like 10 plus years, and he's started off with like Bring Me the Horizon and Death of Anna, bands like that, and you see where they are now. It's great, and he's like really instrumental in starting them all up. But, he invited us to this like party, which I was like, this is ridiculous. What? We're some losers from Croydon. Like, why are we invited to this? I don't know. It's weird. We were doing like shots with Young Guns at one point. Name drop. Crazy. But like, even though it's an introducing show, like you just don't feel like he must get millions and millions of demos.
Yeah. And
just to have him like acknowledge us as a band and invite us to something like that was really nice. To put it simply, it's just such a nice thing to do. Great guy.
Yeah.
Also on the list, like playing shows abroad, which I fortunately got to do with you as well.
Yeah.
But in Best of Enemies time, we got to go over twice and play some great festivals and shows. And it's just, I still find it a bit crazy that somebody let us do that.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
A few drunk idiots.
On that note,
I got the lager burps.
One of my lasting memories of you, enduring memories of you, is after we were sitting, a tour got pulled on us. We were in Barcelona. The amount of frustration that I think we all felt was palpable. And we went out, and most of us don't remember most of what happened that night. But the next day, I remember sitting in a subway station in Barcelona with you just lying on the floor in your sweatpants, with the locals walking over your hungover corpse. Yeah. It was an incredible sight to see. I think you were such a disappointment. We were such a disappointment to the people.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, that was devastating for all of us.
It was hard.
But the short but sweet time that we were out was something that I don't think I'll ever forget. Like, it was such a big experience.
Yeah.
And we met some great people as well.
Yes, we really did.
Big shout out to Dan Cashew. And
God bless
as well.
A
really nice guy, Creighton Emmerich.
Yeah, but as well. I just did some vocals for Cashew for his new track.
Did you?
Yeah, so we'll be hearing that at some point soon.
Is that for Mevius?
It is for Mevius. So if you are watching this, go follow Mevius, because Cashew's a sweetheart.
I'm really interested to hear what he's been up to.
He's in New York City, so he is going through a really tough time with everything going on, and he's seen some things and been through some things that you wouldn't wish on people.
No.
So, yeah, God bless him. He's doing his best to keep safe, and please God, he is able to keep keeping safe. Also, I want to know what you've been working on, because this has been, we touched on it. We touched on your Carlos Santana, Will Smith collab. But what are you going for now? Like you said, the band is towards the end. What do you want to be working on? And what are your plans?
Yeah, I mean, I really just want to finish stuff, because there's, with writing, there's so much stuff that you end up just dismissing or throwing away. I just really want to actually finish something, and I've got like a few ideas that I've been working on. I've been trying to take it back to basics and like start working on a song like from scratch on acoustic, and just messing around with a few chords and like not trying to overthink it or anything, because I definitely do that. I always want to try and be like as original as I can possibly be, and that's just not always possible with the amount of music that people throw out. There's always going to be something,
there's only so many.
Something else.
Yeah, there's only so many orders that chords can go in when they still sound okay.
Yeah. So I've just been building stuff up from like acoustic. Like I'll get a whole song done acoustically and then just try and build it up from there. And I sent you a song, I think.
You did. You did.
Sent you a song. Trying to do vocals at the moment is quite tough because I do have neighbours. I'm in a masonette, so I've got someone over there, someone up there, and
Nice.
Everyone's in at the moment, and I don't really want to disturb everyone.
Fair.
But so vocals are like the final touch on that. But I'm thinking it won't be too long before I've got that ready to go out.
Well, I have a theatre down here, dude, so you're always welcome to come down and track in a theatre.
So what's the travel distance now that you're allowed to go? Is it like 5 miles or something?
It depends if you talk to Dominic Cummings.
Might go to Hastings or wherever it was.
Durham, wasn't it?
Durham, yeah, I don't know.
It's up near Newcastle. Sure. Utterly ridiculous. Anyway.
Something that had a castle in it.
Yeah. What else do I have to ask you? Oh, yeah. So I got a couple more for you. You told me your proudest sort of thing. When you look back at the story, do you have a particular favorite moment that you an enduring moment in your mind that is just like, this is it right here.
This is it. Oh man. There's so many. People always go on about like the hardships of being like a small band and everything and how horrible it is, but there
are a lot, to be fair.
There are, but there's so many good points that like you take for granted. Like, I don't know when my next tour is going to be.
Yeah.
At all. And I was thinking about it the other day, how I feel like maybe I've taken it for granted a bit. Mm-hmm. And I everything will just blow over at some point and we can get back on the road and do it. But something more recent was the last time we went over to Germany. Our good friend Noah, who he's coming out with his own music as well. Mm-hmm. I can't for the life of me remember his last name right now. But yeah, he's a great guy, and he I met him on like one of the Facebook groups or whatever, and he's sorted out 2 trips to Germany for us. Mm-hmm. And he puts on a festival called Keep Moving Festival.
Yep.
Last year had River Becomes Ocean, who we both know.
Yep. Great
guys. Yeah, and we played, so because we've been over a couple of times, and there's a few bands over there that have come over to the UK. Mm-hmm. We've made some like friends for life from that.
Yeah.
And yeah, last year, was it last year?
It was.
Like October last year.
Yeah.
We played that Keep Moving Festival, and like the production value that went into it was immense. Like it was in this big like hall with like an actual stage and like lights and smoke machines, like, but the big pillar ones that like thrust up in your face. And sorry, lager pub. And just I remember we played the last song on an EP called Sorry State. There's a song called Call to Arms, and that was our last song, and there's all this smoke up in my face, and we played like the last chord, and we have like this big sing-along moment at the end, and just hearing like a room full of people that aren't like English just shout that like last line back to us was just crazy. And it's probably it's definitely in the top 5.
Yeah,
definitely top 3, probably top 2, top 1 maybe.
Yeah, that's a beautiful moment. Yeah. It is amazing when people are calling the thing you wrote down on a piece of paper. It's a bizarre experience, but it's powerful.
It's really great, and we've made like some really good friends over there that hopefully we'll get to play shows with again. But yeah, that's definitely it's such a great moment, like just hearing people shout like a lyric back at you.
Yeah.
Gives me chills.
So look, dude, I got one more question for you. Because this one was written in.
I might have a couple as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, this one is... This is not going to make sense. I'm going to introduce this by saying to everybody, the reason I'm drinking this, I went out to get this, is because this man here has a facial edition as furry as the one that Sam just shaved off. And so the question I have for you is, which was sent in by the internet, why did you trim the mustache?
Why did I trim it? Oh, man. I'm starting to question why now, because I really miss it. And also, while it was sunny, and I was out in the garden. I've now got like a tan line from where the tash used to be.
I know, I love it.
Which is quite unfortunate. See, I started growing it at the start of lockdown, and I really can't grow facial hair. Like it looks like hair you'd find, I don't know, on your leg or something, or somewhere else close to there. And yeah, I really can't grow facial hair, but I stuck with it. You know, I stuck with it, and it turned out okay in the end, I think. In terms of why I shaved it off, just fancied a change, you know. Like I'd had it for like 2 months, two months and a few weeks or whatever. Yeah. And in the time we're all, you know, locked in and stuck in the same sort of routines, which I hate having the same routine.
I think there's a song about that, isn't there?
I think there is, yeah.
I woke up again.
But yeah, it just felt like it was time, you know, like it's time to like call like time on something like a band or like a mustache. But yeah, no, you know, I feel clean now, I suppose. Is that a good answer?
It's a great answer.
I feel like there's a weight off my shoulders a bit. Not that there was too much weight on my shoulders over a fucking moustache.
Yeah.
You know, but it's nice to mix things up a bit, isn't it?
So you said you got a couple of questions sent to you?
Yeah, I didn't.
So shoot.
So, well, I got a couple of questions. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, here we go. This one's from Unofro.
Oh, we all know who that is.
He's asking the important questions here.
Anybody who doesn't know, this is Christian from Sam's old band, Best of Enemies.
He asks, what time is it? It's just turned 8:07 p.m. Thanks, Christian, for sending that one in.
I think we'll all treasure that moment.
Yeah, let's see if I've got anything else. Yeah, cheers, mate. That's really, really helpful.
I'm going to check mine quickly too. Make sure that no latent ones have come through.
You can edit this, right?
Yeah, but I probably won't.
Bits out, can't you?
I probably won't.
He's messaged me again. Shout out for me, please. Cheers, Christian. Callie Gallimore. Thanks for watching.
I feel like we've done 2 shout outs, so that's the 3rd.
Yeah, and actually, I brought him up earlier on in the show as well. So yeah. He's really getting his use out of that question, isn't he?
I'm glad to see it. Anyway, my friend, we got to chime off here. So I'm going to say thank you so much. And it's been fun taking this trip down memory lane with you. And I'm excited for what you've got coming up.
It's been a beautiful time. Thanks very much for having me. And hopefully we can do it again and we'll chip in a few extra nuggets about some fun times that we had.
Some juicy stories.
All
right.
Some tall gossip.
If you've enjoyed this, please let us know and we'll do some more. And do the old like and subscribe. That's what people say, isn't it? I don't really know. I'm also mainly we're doing this for a bit of fun. So if you've been here and enjoyed it, we appreciate it. Stay well, everybody.
Take it easy.